Hi there. Hi there. We are live. And it's May.
Yay!
Has this year been flying by for you like it has been for me?
Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. It's been, yeah, it's
It's,
been a crazy year.
it's a
Well,
whirl.
it's been a crazy year for
Yeah.
me. Yeah, for personally. So, yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
every time I look up, there's something else and it's just continuing on. But
Yeah.
seeing you always makes me happy.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I got
Yeah.
to talk a bunch about you
Oh,
in my
yes.
session this week at Mile High Agile Denver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, what things did you say?
Obviously wonderful things, but I actually used, oh wait, we should probably introduce ourselves and then
Yes.
we just jump right in.
Just jump right in. Yeah. Yeah.
I forget that people are watching this.
Yeah.
My
Right.
name is Tricia Broderick,
And I'm Diana Larsen.
and we co-wrote Lead Without Blame, and we have decided to get together every month or almost every month and come with a new topic in an area, but also it's kind of our time to catch up because it's been such a whirlwind. I'm like, oh wait, I got this to tell Diane, I got this
Yeah.
and I want to ask about this. So
Well, and I had to skip last month,
yeah.
so you had to do that one alone. So it's been
No,
a little
actually, we
while.
moved this one forward. So this is the same topic we were going to do last
We were
month.
gonna do, but I mean, we just didn't do it last.
Correct.
Or you did it alone or something. I don't know, but
nobody yelled at us. They were all very understanding. So that's good.
that's great.
Good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was speaking at the Mile High Agile Denver Reboot Conference that happened this week, which was amazing. And I did a session on power dynamics from a book. And so one of the things I talked about was actually when you create a pairing opportunity, are you really working with that more expert, more senior, more knowledgeable in certain areas to really create that level balance field? Because it could have been really easy for me to just defer to you in the book, but you were not having that, right? And
No.
and so I really talked about how you had created the power with environment for then it to become really natural for us to truly create co-intelligence, create collaboration in our book. And so I actually used us as the example for that.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And then I got a little book promotion in there too. So
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
So today's topic is impactful quotes that have kind of stuck with us, lasted with us, had a big impact in different ways. For me, sometimes it's the direct quote, but a lot of times it's the essence of the impact of that quote or that moment. But I just thought we'd kind of share things that we carry with us when we're we're engaging with people and things. And see where this goes. Again, it's always unscripted. Right. And if you have comments, join. We'll post your comments. We do have a way to see them. They're a little bit delayed, but we always we like to engage. So feel free to make comments.
We'll talk to you if you put in a comment. We will respond.
We will. I mean, I know that's shocking for everybody that knows us.
Yeah. Yes.
So what's one for you? Like when you think of like impactful moments or sayings or quotes, like what's one that you kind of go back to often?
Well, I am a quote person. I love quotes, and pretty much every talk I give has quotes in it and so on. But there are a few that I go back to over and over again. And one of them is Peter Drucker's quote about, and I'm not going to be able to say it exactly, but something about the role of management seems to be getting in the way of people getting things done. And that's, it's so powerful because, I'm a firm believer in the retrospective prime directive. Everybody's doing the best they can, given the information they have and their skills and all that stuff. So I know that managers are trying to do the right thing. Managers as leaders, managers as coordinators, whatever they're trying to accomplish. And there's some magic in those of us who are leading, who are leaders or managers, in stopping to think, is this helping people to get things done, or am I getting in their way of getting things done? And it's not, I mean, blame definitely gets in the way of people getting things done. And so that's one thing, if you're judging or blaming people or whatever. But then there's also little subtle ways about asking for something when somebody's head's down, and asking to have it immediately, maybe through an email where you're just not even aware of what their context is, or just there's just a lot of ways that we can get in the way of people accomplishing the things we've asked them to accomplish, and how that can cause resentment and confusion and all of those kinds of things. So I find that I use that quote fairly often, because it just does seem to fit. And Peter Drucker, of course, was a brilliant management consultant, a brilliant leader. And so, things he says have an impact.
And a lasting one, right?
And a lasting one. Yeah. Yeah.
That one dovetails really nicely into one that's for me that I use it almost to humanize as well as remember.
Right.
I'm not very good with direct quotes. I'm not very good with song like names or titles and things like that. But the essence of it was, the dangerous words are, "We've always done it that way" by Dr. Grace Hopper. And just going, it is common for those words, "We've always done it that way," or some variation of that in workplaces, in situations. And yet they are so dangerous because times are changing and complexity and all of these things, that it stops us from experimenting. It stops us from exploring, from innovating. But I like it also because it reminds me that it's so common that I don't want to get mad at the person saying it. Or if I say it, like it's sometimes so habit or easy sometimes that we let that fly. And so if I remember that quote, if I remember the essence of that quote, it is like, okay, we're human. We went there because we wanted it to be easy. We went there because we want to be successful, right? We went there because we've had some success in the past because of it, right? But yet it's super dangerous to approach things that way.
And knowing the other things that Grace Hopper said, there had to be some context for that quote, and so that's the other thing about quotes, is like, it's kind of important to, you pull something out of a paragraph or a speech or something, and it's kind of important to know what was around that. I mean, I could imagine, and I have seen this happen with other quotes, that a quote like "We've always done it that way" might have been followed by a phrase like, "But that doesn't mean we shouldn't reassess the situation." I mean, so that's always an interesting thing when it's that directive. I always want to know what was around that. What was around that? What was the story behind that?
What's another one for you?
Another one for me is Maya Angelou. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And I really need that one. I mean, I need to remind myself of that one a lot, because I like to trust people. I like to give people second chances. And I've learned over my life that that's not always the right thing to do. That, while it feels like maybe it should be, it's not always. And I need to be alert to when somebody has intentions that are opposite, or at least not in alignment with my intentions for the kind of culture I'm trying to create, or the kind of community behaviors I'm looking for, and those kinds of things. It's like, when somebody shows you clearly who they are and what their values are and what they believe and what behaviors they're going to think are fine, believe them. And then maybe ask them about it, just to get
Yeah, don't
real
immediately just like kneel
confirmation.
and walk,
Yeah,
right?
to
Right.
get
Yeah.
confirmation, but then believe them. Yeah.
Yeah. I smiled right when you said it, because my other one is
Yeah.
also my
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and this one, again, I'm never always very good. I should have actually done my homework before this and
Yeah.
truly pulled up the exact quote. But
Right.
it's about developing your courage so that you can stand up for yourself. But there's a part of it after this that I really, and so that you can then stand up, you have the courage to stand up for others.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and that's where it's like, there's so much behind that for me, where I kind of interpret the self-care, right?
Yeah.
The finding the boundaries, believing them where they're at, finding the appropriate boundaries that you have to have, but then also using your privilege, also using your situation to be that voice, that support in other situations.
Yeah,
And that's really kind of like, it's interesting, because as you're like, believe them where they're at, but yet in those situations when we can help, how are we helping, right? And so this, again, it goes back to that bigger context and all of those things. But these quotes, these moments can really kind of help us determine who we want to be, right? And how we want to show up, and how do we protect ourselves.
Yeah.
But I smiled because I was like, oh, I have one from her too.
Well, maybe we're going to specialize in quotes from women today. I don't know. We started with Drucker, but we've kind of made a turn. My next one is from the book The Awakening by Kate Chopin.
Okay, I've never read it.
It's a very interesting book about someone making a lot of change in their lives. And so it's a quote about change. And I actually pulled this one up because I want to say it correctly. It says, but the beginning of things. So anytime we're making a big change and we're starting something new, whatever, of a world especially, is necessarily vague, tangled, chaotic, and exceedingly disturbing. I love that. Vague, tangled, chaotic, and exceedingly disturbing. How few of us ever emerge from such beginnings? How many souls perish in its tumult? Right. I mean, and for me, that really is about, changing the way we do things is hard. And it's possible to emerge on the other side. It's impossible to learn our way through it and emerge on the other side. And, that whole book, The Awakening, is about her encountering ideas about a whole life that she hadn't really ever considered before, and having to make her way in that. But human change is human change. And so I find that one particularly helpful when I just, and a little bit provocative to be able to say to folks, it's like, well, are you going to perish, or are you gonna emerge whole and new and with a brand new idea of the world? Yeah.
I'm having an internal moment right now as we're doing this, because again, we don't, for those watching and listening, we do not script this, so we don't actually know which ones we're going to say. But as we're talking, I'm like, oh, that one goes right in hand with mine, and I was like, this is why it was so enjoyable writing the book together. So mine is not a quote that's actually known out there. My next one is one that the late David Hussman said to me once, because I kept like, what if I'm the problem? And I kept like panicking about that a little bit. Like, what if I'm the problem? What if it's always me? Right? Yes. What if I'm the problem? And he ended up saying to me, if there's a problem, that means it's an opportunity. There's an opportunity. Yes. Right. And so I don't look at you. I look at you being a problem as a good thing. Like that just means endless opportunities with every problem. And I ended up really liking that reframing to every time I wanted to like shame myself or get in that space of the problem is how do you look at it from that? Are you going to perish? Right?
Yeah.
Like, what is going to happen? But to really look at it and go, what's the opportunity here? Because you can't have opportunities without problems in some cases. or you don't see them as well. You can't maximize them in certain things. And that reframing for me really helped a lot with my imposter syndrome. It really helped a ton with staying optimistic, staying into a space that really drives me forward instead of just letting me stew in my stew in something with those things. And so, although that is not a quote known by everybody, for me, it's if there's a problem, that means there's an opportunity. And that for me, I hold close.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
David's still having impacts every day.
Yeah. 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 Thinking about quotes that people have said to me, I think a really powerful one for me came from a mentor of mine. And it was about deserving and being able to, I can't remember what exactly she said, but the essence of it was, you deserve good things to happen in your life, right? Everyone does. I don't deserve it more than the next person maybe, but everyone deserves good things happening in their lives. And so pushing those away or saying, oh, I can't expect that good thing to happen or whatever, is kind of counter to what we really deserve. Like every baby deserves to be loved. They all aren't, but they all deserve it, right? And it was in terms of imposter syndrome, it was hugely helpful for me. It's been hugely helpful for me in a number of issues, one of which is like around pricing my services. I deserve to be paid well for the knowledge and skills and wisdom that I've accumulated, and to be able to say, okay, well, that means I get to ask for the going rate. I don't need to get to ask for 5 times the going rate, but I deserve the going rate. I deserve what people get paid who do things well, because I also do things well. And I deserve respect from the people that I work with. And if I'm not getting respect from the people I work with, well, I can change my situation. I can give feedback and ask for some changes in behavior. There's a lot I can do to alter that situation, but it's up to me to sort of stand in that position that says, I deserve this, right? And so she was a wonderful mentor, and just a lovely, lovely woman. And I miss her a lot. She's not around anymore, but I miss her a lot.
I think this is, again, I'm going internal. This has been an intro. Maybe it's because I'm coming off Agile Denver this week or something.
Yeah.
Like all the feels right now. I'm having all the feels. It was also cool because my son was at the conference. He's a computer science major. He's
wow, that's great. So
he went to an Agile conference and he volunteered and stuff, but he sat front and center in my session. And it was more emotional than I thought it would be. But and he laughed at my jokes. He thought I was funny.
Yeah.
But what this is making me kind of think internally for a second, as I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about, even in our book, we made an effort and an intent to actually list a number of quotes to highlight the shoulders that we stand on and what has influenced us in different ways. But I think this is really important for leaders to realize, like, we have so much power with our words as leaders.
Yeah.
We don't know what we say, how it's going to necessarily, what lasting impact or influence it could have. Like that mentor for you had, might be going, are you kidding me? I don't even remember that. Right. Right. There's so much responsibility in that as a leader, I think. And not that I want people walking around going, how do I create an impactful moment for you? Because the minute you're trying to do that, you're probably not going to, right?
Yeah.
David's comment to me was an offhanded, in the moment, lifting me up kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I do think that you don't always know how much what you are saying, what you are highlighting
Yeah.
is going to have impact for how long? Like Drucker
Right.
was talking, like, did he actually know the influence he was going to
Right.
have?
Right.
Or people would be pulling these quotes from Grace Hopper all these years later.
Right.
And
Right.
it's a cool way to see the impact of what leadership, true leadership, can
Right.
have.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
It's making me think about, like, also, like, the opposite of it, of like, oh, what have I said that might have done the opposite, right? But I'll get out of my head.
Right. Right.
But,
Right.
like, these are some of those moments with it, and they can be big, they can be small, right? They can be
Yeah.
quick, or they can be something you see later. I love it when people who write songs actually will say, once they've released
Yeah.
the song is theirs, it's not mine
Right.
anymore, right?
Right.
And then in some cases I feel this way about quotes or books a little bit too, because what I can read into a
Yeah.
quote might
Right.
be something I need, right? Or something,
Right.
a message I'm looking to reaffirm or needed to
Yeah.
hear,
Right.
or applied or related it to a specific thing that might have been out of context for what that
Right.
person meant, and yet it was still helpful.
Right. Yeah. And I've noticed that I tend to collect quotes. When I find them, I'll copy them and I'll put them in a file or whatever. I tend to collect quotes about change and learning, and the kind of the very tight connection there is between those two, and what that means about the future. And there's a couple of them that are really my favorites that I go to all the time. One's from the futurist. What was his last name? Alvin Toffler. I remember his last name. It's just Alvin is the one I don't remember. Alvin Toffler, and then a very similar quote from Eric Hoffer, who was a leader in the labor movement. And both of them are talking about when things are changing and we're moving into a new future, we have to be learners. We have to be equipped to learn. I mean, this is one of the themes of our book, right? We have to be equipped to learn, because if we can't learn, we won't survive. And that one, both of those quotes and some other ones that I've collected that are on that same theme have kind of fueled the fact that many people have had this epiphany. Many people have had this realization that that's the only thing that's going to carry us forward, is our ability to reassess our situation and learn and so on, and build our skills at doing that. That's been a huge has had a huge impact on my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't know about that, so
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
I've got now two books.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have a quote, we'd love to hear from you. Put it in the chat or put it in the comments afterwards, and we'll love to see what impactful quotes you carry with you in your journeys.
Yes.
What do you have coming up? Where are you going to be? Where can people find you?
People can find me. People in Europe can find me at the XP conference the first week of June in Bolzano, Italy. Sponsored by the Agile Alliance. It's kind of the European, in some ways, the European edition of the Agile conference, or it was for a while. Now they've got the satellite thing happening from, so that's different. But it's a wonderful conference because it brings practitioners and researchers, academics together, and so that both can share their discoveries. And I have loved that conference. It was actually the very first Agile focused conference, it was mostly XP at the time, that ever happened. It was in 2000. And it's been going ever since. So that I'm happening. I have some undefined time in June where I'm going to be wandering around Europe. So I'm curious about what's going to pop up from that. And then the first and second of July, I'll be in Munich for the Agile World Conference. and it, yeah, those are the two big ones that I have coming up right now.
Nice.
Near term. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
From a conference perspective, I'll be in Budapest for Craft at the end of this month. I'm
So
so excited. I've never
wonderful.
been.
Yes.
I'm loving this like the organizing team has been incredible.
Yeah.
So I will be there for that. And then I will be at the Agile Alliance conference which is why I'm repping it, in Dallas in July. I am looking forward to that as well. I'm going to be talking about courage this go around. So I'm super
wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
And then I have a couple public classes coming up, and I don't usually have many public classes coming up, but I have, and I never do this anymore, I have an actual public CSM in June that only has 2 spots left in it.
Wow.
So if you're interested in
Somebody
that,
should grab one of those spots. Or
I know,
both
I don't do the public CSMs really anymore.
Right.
But I had a client that was like, I only have a couple. It worked out. So I'm doing one in June, and then I have a facilitation focused and a training focused skill development for leaders course in August. So those are my next like publics coming up. But I'm also going to make one plug for Agile Denver. The conference just happened this week. It was incredible, as I already mentioned. We have an opening for a board of a director position that is now open, and nominations are being accepted through the end of the month. So if you want to work with me on the Agile Denver board, and an amazing team that we have and wonderful community, this is just, I mean, I'm sure everybody's partial. I mean, I know Portland's amazing as well. I mean, Agilists are just amazing people in general.
Well, so I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So does a person who has maybe attended remotely Agile Denver, are you open to people who don't live in the area?
I don't think it's ever been expressly stated. I think traditionally it's always been Denver area residents, but I'll be open.
Okay. Yeah.
And we'll have that discussion.
Yeah. All right.
We do try and do some things in person, but we can explore things, right? And what happens with stuff. So again, we want the people that are going to help make this community amazing. And so that we're going to look at whatever that community looks like.
Great.
Awesome. Yeah. And then our next announcement is we have set a date. We got online really quick before we could we could go live. And our next live will be on June 14th. So about a month from now, we will go live again and enjoy. I will be back from Europe, but you'll still be over. Right?
I'll still be over there. I'm going to be over there for 5 weeks. Yeah.
So we'll see what time zone. We should probably double check the time zone of what I scheduled for you now that I think about this. But
I'm thinking about it. That's why I said let's do it at the same time as this one, because that will be sort of late afternoon, early evening in Europe. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for spending time with us today.
Yeah.
And we'll see you again next month.
Bye.